Yeah, well, I mean, I'm gay, so I watch All About Eve at least 3 times a year, and I've practically memorized the entire movie. Well, it's easy to say when I was first asked to be a screenwriter, which was for feature films anyway, which was when Kathy Kennedy, Steven Spielberg's producer, asked me if I would be interested in meeting her and Steven to talk about the movie that eventually became Munich. I think I realized that film and television was going to become a significant part of what I did as a writer around the end of filming of Munich and the beginning of my work on Lincoln, which was the next movie that I made. I think as a screenwriter, as opposed to a playwright, I've been inspired by a number of films from the golden age of Hollywood. Movies like Shane, The Best Years of Our Lives, The Heiress, The Searchers, almost anything by John Ford. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm gay, so I watch All About Eve at least 3 times a year, and I've practically memorized the entire movie. For some reason, I'm not sure why, my husband's a film historian, and we tend to watch Rosemary's Baby at least once a year. I think we saw it together when we were first starting to date, so it has a kind of romantic meaning. In terms of television, I recently decided to try and watch all of The Sopranos again because it was so incredibly impactful when it first came out, and I'm awestruck all over again at how brilliant it is, the structure, the writing, the acting, and how profoundly disturbing its moral vision is. I think the only goal that I could say that I want to achieve is to entertain, to never bore anybody, and to provide various kinds of pleasure, including, thinking pleasure and the pleasures that can come from understanding. But I feel that fundamentally, that's my only real task. I mean, the only advice that you can really give to anyone is to do your work, is to write. The only thing that I think is really, that I know of, that's of real value is that I think writers, and probably all artists, have to get away from the notion that the work of art is born inside our heads and then we sort of capture it and put it out into the world in some sort of externalizable form. I think that the easiest way to get stuck as a writer is to feel that you have to wait until you're ready in some way to do it. You make yourself ready by the actual physical act of writing. You can see how old I am. I still do this instead of this. But whether you're doing this or this, I think that's... And to try and do it every day, because it will be so much easier and probably better if it's done on a daily basis in a regular way than if it's in fits and starts and you sort of give in to your fear of attempting it. I mean, obviously a good screenplay is one that makes a good movie. And I can't really... in a certain sense, I don't have the experience of working on enough screenplays or with other screenwriters enough to be able to answer it. But I think there's no single thing. There are so many different ways to make films. There are so many different possibilities. There are films that are, I had mentioned Shane earlier. It was written by a novelist in 6 weeks, and George Stevens says he filmed it exactly the way it was written, and it's a masterpiece. There are film scripts that are largely made up by the actors and the director on the spot, but something that the writer provided made it possible for that kind of improvisation to take place. So that's a hard one to answer. I think the proof of the pudding is in the eating, as they say, and if it's a good screenplay, it'll make a good movie.